Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Oris Aquis Date Calibre 400. This has the Oris in-house movement, and this watch has been sent in on loan from Saltzmans Watches. So if you could go check out their website and their Instagram, I'd really appreciate it. I'll leave that information in the description below. And again, I greatly appreciate them sending this over for us to check out. So I have wanted an Oris Aquis for a while now. Just never actually went through with purchasing one. So I really appreciate them sending this over because, like I said, I wanted to check out one of these for a long time. And this just so happens to be the one with the Oris in-house movement. Sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert. This watch has a lot of great features to it. And the dial on this is just simply gorgeous, stunning, amazing, beautiful. However you want to phrase it, this dial is very nice looking. I like the sunburst pattern and also the gradient dial, also called fume dial, where it changes from light to dark as you go out to the perimeter of the dial. Also, that matching date window is just very well done. I normally prefer no-date watches, no-date dive watches like this, but this one is very well done. It doesn't really stick out too much, and that's my favorite position for a date wheel. But anyway, before we get into more of the watch, let's take a quick look at the packaging. It does come with a cardboard outer box, which this is the lid. The bottom portion is over here. We don't really need to look at that. It also has this nice manual here, which I have not really looked at too much yet. I do have an Oris watch, another one I've had for about 10 years now. I bought it used 10 years ago, and I knew that Oris was founded in 1904, which I think I just saw here. Yep, 1904, which actually makes it 1 year older than Rolex. Of course, not as well known as Rolex. So it's interesting, the history of these watch brands. But I do like that Oris is an independent brand, and they do have a good amount of history. Some of the hang tags I removed from the watch, I'll put them back on before I send it back. And here you see the retail price, $3,300. And the Aquis without the in-house movement is $2,000. So it's a $1,300 premium for the Calibre 400 movement. We'll talk about that a little bit more here as we go through with the video. And here's the interior of the box. So very nicely done, nice presentation. I plan on comparing this watch to a couple other watches I have in my collection here too, namely my Zen U50, then also my Tudor Black Bay 58. So anyway, let's set this stuff off to the side here. We'll get back into the watch. So as I mentioned, this has the Calibre 400 movement. Actually, let's take a look at that. I'll demonstrate one of the upgrades with this watch is it does have a quick release bracelet strap system here. You just open up that flap, I'll call it a flap. You open that up, and then you can just simply pull it off. But let's take a quick look at the movement here. So it doesn't have that much decoration, but it still looks cool. I like these two mainspring barrels here, or mainsprings. And that gives away one of the big benefits of this movement. With these two mainsprings, you get a power reserve of 120 hours. I did a double take when I was researching that and saw that power reserve. 120 hours is I'm really amazed by that. I'm impressed. I'll call it the base Aquis with the SW200 movement that has a 38-hour power reserve. So you are more than tripling your power reserve by going to the Calibre 400 movement. Also, it is anti-magnetic to about, I think it's about 200 Gauss is what the standard is, the ISO 764 standard for anti-magnetism. I also saw a number thrown around, 4,800 AM. So The point is that it does have some anti-magnetic properties. Also, this watch has a 10-year warranty and a 10-year service interval with this movement. Typical ETA 2824, of which the SW200 is essentially a clone of. I believe those are about a 5-year service interval. Personally, I never sent a watch in to have it serviced, but that's what you're supposed to do. And this one will last twice as long. So anyway, let me zoom in. Sorry. We'll zoom in, take a little better look at this. Also, this one has 21 joules, and the Sellita SW200 has, I think it was 26 joules. I don't know all the technical details, or I don't remember all the technical details on how they manage this power reserve. And also you can read some of the information on the case back here. Sapphire crystal. What does this say? Oris Holstein. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but that's the city they're based in Switzerland. And then, as you can see here, 30 bar, 300 meter, which you may have seen on the dial. So this watch is rated to 300 meters of water resistance. Your typical diver is about 200 meters. Usually it's 200 meters. Now let me unscrew the crown and I'll wind up this movement. There we go, unscrewed, and we're winding. You see that gear there moving. I've not spent too much time winding this watch, so I don't exactly know if once you get it to a certain amount of power reserve, if this one stops and then that one starts turning. So probably not going to get there today. Now you can see in there that little tooth moving as you wind it too. Adjusted to 5 positions. Oh, right there, 21 joules. Oris, Swiss made. So anyway, let me put the bracelet back on here. Sorry, the strap back on, and then we'll get into the rest of the specs of this watch and a couple of my complaints. Not really complaints, but just a couple of things I noticed. So this watch is very unique in my mind. I'm not aware of any other watches with this type of styling. If you guys know of any, please put it in the comments below. But this case shape is unique in that it slopes back up, kind of looks like a bell shape here. So you can see the bezel is proud of the case at the top, which makes it nice and easy to get a hold of. You may have noticed there is still plastic on this watch. This is Saltzmans watch, so I'm leaving the plastic on. Imagine this is one of their display models. And also I'm leaving the plastic on the clasps too, so that's why the plastic is still on there. So anyway, I'm not aware of any other watches with this case shape. I know there's, I think it's Longines, the Hydro Conquest kind of has lugs like this. Not lugs, the crown guards. There we go. So you can see it has a signed crown and the screw. What is going on with this camera? So the screws here match the screws there. And I don't know if those actually come out with this being kind of an integrated bracelet here, and it has this quick change strap system. So it is a brushed case, and then the bezel has some polishing on it. So yeah, let's turn this bezel. Very nice, solid feeling bezel. See if you can hear this. I don't know if these indices or the markers on the bezel are lumed or not. I guess we'll find that out in a few moments here. I would like it if it had an applied logo, but you know, this works well enough. The indices are applied, and then there is printing down here right above the date. Aquis pressure resistant, 30 bar, 300 meter. And then of course it says right there 5 days. That's the 5 days of power reserve. And then below the 9, it's actually the date obviously is not the 9 o'clock position, which is over here, but below the 6 o'clock is Swiss made. And there's a little Lume pip there, so that's nice as well. Also, what I like about this watch is the slope of the bezel, or the curve of the crystal, matches the slope of the bezel there. So very well made watch. Really enjoyed my time with this watch. So I talked about the movement. Let's go over the dimensions. Lug to lug, we'll call it lug to lug, is 50.0 millimeter. I measured that, so it's exactly 50.0. And then the diameter of I measured the bezel. The case is a little hard to measure, but the bezel is 43.5 millimeter. I think the case does match that as well. And then thickness on this is 13.4. So about the same thickness as a Seiko SKX, but it does have 100 meter additional water resistance. And then I did measure between the lugs, 12.2, in case you're curious. And then the strap up here at the top, 24 millimeter. And that does taper down to 18. And this is a rubber strap. It smells of vanilla. It feels great on wrist. Feels much better than a silicone strap. I'm a big fan of rubber straps, also FKM rubber. I don't know if this, I'm assuming this is natural rubber, but I don't know for sure. You can see the Oris logo in there. And I'm assuming that you can cut this to make the strap size even smaller. I have a 6.5-inch wrist. Of course, I'm not cutting this, but there does have micro adjust here, and then you can adjust the strap here, and it fits just a little bit loose on my wrist, in case you're wondering if you'd have to cut this strap or not. So if you have a maybe 6 1/4 or larger wrist, I don't think you would have to cut the strap. Let's see, what does that say there? The camera is giving me issues today. Also, you do have this feature here to help prevent this from pulling all the way out. Okay, so it just says rubber, so I'm assuming it's natural rubber. Okay, let's slide this back in. So I guess I can show you on camera how this works. It does have 2 of these nubs, which I don't normally see. I normally only see 1 on a deployant, so that should add for extra security. Also, you can see some perlage work here on the clasp. This still has the stickers on here again, as I mentioned. So put these 2 in. And then this is a neat feature too. I've never seen this before. It's a quick adjustment, tool-free adjustment. So if I were to size this for my wrist, I would put it to the tightest position, and then that way if your wrist swells or whatever, you can just expand it. So very nice. Might not look the best, but it's very functional. So close that all the way up. Oh, okay, so the other thing I wanted to mention is the crown size, nice and large at 7.5 millimeter, and it is a thick crown. It sticks out a bit, so it's nice and easy to get a hold of. No issues there with getting it out of position here. So first position is hand winding. Then you have the date set. Actually, always gotta be careful about being in the danger zone. So let's just move this to 3 o'clock. And then we can change the date. Oh, back and winding. There we go. We should be in the date set position. There we go. Changing the date. I really like that color match date wheel. It just adds a finishing touch to this watch. All right, so a couple of my complaints is I don't like that you can see that metal in between there for the quick release system. I'll put it on wrist here in a moment to see if we can see that while it's on wrist. And also this nub here, you can see that underneath the clasp. Maybe not a big deal, but I don't know. Just a little nitpick, I guess. Let me see if I can pull this back a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see that nub right there, but you know, it'll be on the bottom of your wrist, so maybe not really a big deal. So let's get that plastic back on there. And sometimes I do find myself squeezing these instead of squeezing this to open the bracelet. Strap, sorry, I keep calling it a bracelet, on this deployant buckle here. They also do offer this watch in 41.5 millimeter, and that has a 48 millimeter lug to lug, which is what I would, if I were to purchase this watch, I would purchase that size for my smaller wrist. So it does fit a little loosely on my wrist, so please excuse that. But overall, I'm very tempted to pick up one of these for myself. I really do like this watch. It's uniquely styled. It has the 120-hour power reserve, of course, sapphire, ceramic bezel, that gorgeous dial. This really ticks a lot of boxes. I don't know what else you could want for in a watch like this. It is a dive watch, but it looks, it almost looks like a dress watch. It's like a dressy dive watch and very functional. I can see the handset very clearly. It does, the stainless steel does somewhat disappear at certain angles, but you have the lume on those hands to make up for that. Also, you have lume on the second hand. So, very well done. All right, let me zoom out here. Sorry I went on a little long with this. Just I'm really excited about this watch. The time kind of flies here. So here we are zoomed out. If you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. Like the video and leave a comment below. I didn't mention it, but this is a signed clasp here. All right, I will pause the video and we can check out the Lume. Actually, I'll bring my SKX over here. Give it a little shake. We can look at it for size comparison, and then we will check out the Lume between these two watches here. Well, let's look at it. This SKX does have an aftermarket sapphire crystal, in case you were wondering. So actually they look pretty close in size, but actually the Oris is a little bit larger, 43.5 versus 40 millimeter, but that's on the case. The bezel is not that large on the SKX. All right, so I'll pause the video and we can take a look at the Lume. All right, so obviously on the left we have the Oris Aquis, and on the right my Seiko SKX 009. As far as Lume brightness, I say they're pretty evenly matched. Yeah, I don't think I could pick one over the other for which one has the better lume, so I will say that they are equal. And also, as you can see, just the lume pip is lumed on the Oris, which is fine. I don't really need a lume on the bezel insert. But there we have it. I think that will conclude today's video. As always, appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.